Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Monday, the 6th of September. Following McShane's readings, today we read 1 Corinthians chapter 11. A contentious passage as it deals with the covering of the head in worship. And I read verse 5. But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. It is the same as having her head shaved. Now, what Paul means, I've not heard well explained ever. Some people say that's exactly true. If you're going to say anything in church, you've got to have a covering on your head. You've got to wear a hat if you're a woman. Other people have said it's a cultural thing. That was 1st century, 21st century, different culture, doesn't apply. Other people have explained it that in Corinth there were a lot of pagan shrines with shrine prostitutes. And Paul was really desperate to make sure that the women speaking in the Christian church were distinct and quite different from the women serving in shrines, and wanting to maintain that difference. So how we make sense of that sort of we're going to have to wrestle with. But the point for me is that there were women that were praying and prophesying in church. And so when we come later in chapter 14, where Paul also says women should remain silent in church, that opens a whole question. What does he mean when he says women must be silent? Again, that's a question with 1,000 different explanations and understandings. And the one that makes most sense to me is that he's saying women shouldn't chatter among themselves and try and, what's he talking about? They should rather be quiet, and if they've got questions, ask afterwards. But clearly women were prophesying and were praying in church. 2 points. The one is, we never take a single verse on its own and build a theology around that. We let the whole of Scripture shape our understanding around the issues. And so that's the great advantage of somebody like McShane, where we read through the whole of the Bible and we confront these difficult passages and we wrestle with them. We may not make sense of them, but they become part of the overall package of Scripture. And I think as we read through Scripture, to remember the point that the plain things are the main things. And so where there are things that are unclear and opaque, they're very seldomly the main point of Scripture. And so as we read through this, what you wear in church is not a fundamental issue of Scripture. And therefore, it's not plain what it means and how we understand it and how we interpret it today, and exactly what Paul's talking about with shaving heads and long hair and etc. It's not plain. But therefore, it's not one of the main things, and we mustn't get hung up on it. The main things are the love of God, the incarnation of Christ, the sacrifice of Christ and life in his name. And we hang on to the main things, be strong on those. And the plain things, that's clear. The other things are interesting, help us, but we don't let ourselves be tripped up by them. So keep reading, keep thinking, keep pondering, and I pray that God will shape you through his word day by day.